and welcome to Pricing College with your host Joanna Wells
and Aidan Campbell.
Okay, so we were talking a bit before about the cinema and movie industry, and it sort of made us think about, the dominant player in the market now, Netflix, and the value it offers consumers. And we were thinking, what value does it offer, and is it sustainable? Will it be long term? Will we value Netflix as much as we do today? Or is there a life cycle with Netflix?
Yeah, I suppose like people say, oh, I've got Netflix, I have a subscription to Netflix. What is the value that Netflix actually provides? I suppose I'm one of those people who even remembers its original incarnation before it was a tech business, where they'd email you CDs through, or DVDs, sorry, through the post, and you had to select the ones you wanted to watch. And in that context, the appeal was actually the obscure movies, the foreign movies, the more art house movies. That was the actual appeal of the business. In a weird way, it's actually gone completely the opposite now, where it's more generic, popcorn style movies, some 80s classics and that sort of thing, that you can just consume whenever you want to, and you pay a flat fee, obviously depending on the territory you're in, but something like 15 to 20 bucks a month, and you can watch the movies. But really, what are they really providing is the question. Are they actually providing you access to movies that you wouldn't otherwise have? Or, why even do the studios use Netflix? Because obviously it's a market to some extent. There's two sides to it: the consumers who watch the movies and the studios who choose to distribute through them. So, we're going to dig into that a little bit in this podcast.
I suppose when they are launched, and still today, one of the major value drivers has been, price. They've been really competing in the market based on price, whether that's, I think they offer a tiered pricing model. It's very simple, it's very cheap, it's easy to understand. I think it starts at like $9.99, it goes up to $13.99, max $15, something like that. So they have obviously gone with a strategy of low price, and looking at the pricing model, it's low price, whatever you can watch on their platform, and sort of, like good quality. So they sort of price segment based on the quality of the actual movie, high definition, by streaming and that sort of thing. So they've thought about their customers, and they thought, what do they want? Customers want lots of sort of average stuff to consume in an instant. But they want it in high quality, high definition. So they want to watch it without interruption, even if they're streaming it. That seems to be a major value proposition that Netflix offers us today.
I can understand if we look at their pricing strategy, which has been, you can argue, a penetration pricing strategy to get people to try it. I suppose there is a question, though. Is it a penetration pricing strategy with the expectation of increasing prices later? We covered this in a previous podcast, and I personally don't believe that there's that large an opportunity to really increase prices. I believe a couple of years ago they did increase prices and saw a large drop off in their customer base, which we'll probably cover in a future episode. But one of the big things I'll say about Netflix is there's the classic example of the British Railway network. There's, in many instances, there's a first mover advantage, but there's also a first mover disadvantage in some instances. With Netflix, basically, they have shown the way. They've built the streaming model, which was, very market leading. But one of the big issues is, to my view, there are very, very few barriers to entry into it. It doesn't build an ecosystem such as like the iTunes App Store. You're not built into an ecosystem surrounded by Netflix. And in theory, there's nothing locking you in. You can consume movies elsewhere, whether through YouTube, whether through Stan in Australia, different countries have different streaming platforms, or directly with the studios, which we're seeing increasingly. So to some extent, it's almost as if this business has shown the way, but not locked in any, network effects that would stop people shopping around.
I think, do you know what, that they're probably a bit feeling a bit vulnerable about their position in the market too, because they're more than willing to partner with people like Foxtel for instance, and other. I suppose they're keen to keep customers like Disney, because they literally give them the content, even though they do produce their own stuff. But I do feel now more than ever that they are more vulnerable. They're feeling it, and they're trying to create a more reliable ecosystem, because they know the one that they have got is quite frail. It's very flexible, gives people options, but at the same time, it doesn't really lock you in as much as they probably hoped.
And in 2020, Disney is going direct, so they're withdrawing a lot of their content off these distribution platforms. And like in my mind, I don't understand why a major studio, a studio that where there's movies that you want, there's no, it's not really any more easy typing something into Netflix than it is typing it into Google. And if you can just buy it or get it from the studio directly, why would you pick it from from Netflix? I can understand, speaking of ecosystems, a lot of modern smart TVs will have Netflix built in, but we're a year or two away where you'll just have whatever you want built into them. If Netflix is built in, Google is also, and YouTube and different things. So I personally don't think Netflix will exist in its current format in 5 to 10 years. I just don't think they have value add really that will, like, fundamentally the people who produce the content are the masters in this genre. They're distributing it all through the same mechanism, which will be online. It'll be the cinemas are online, and the online mechanism will be, you might as well go direct. Why would you pay a margin or give it to a middleman? It doesn't, to me, make any sense at all. One other point I'd make is that Netflix, it has been trying to, add a bit of AI and give you suggestions and these sort of things, but basically, to my mind, all it does is suggest the same stuff to you. It suggests stuff that you watched previously, when you get a popcorn style movie, and it's just going to suggest another one to you. So, over time, I just think people will look for, if we still believe cinema is an art form, we're going to be looking more deeply for the content that we spend our time watching.
I think, it started out as a value proposition to have as much content as possible, that it would be a platform that would enable the user to take control of the TV watching experience, as opposed to being told what to watch or have any sort of guidance around that. They said, for the first time, we'll put you in charge of that. I think that's, in some regard, some people like that, other people don't. And as you get more and more content that's sort of pretty much the same sort of thing, you kind of actually do need more guidance about what to watch than you probably think. And also, Netflix, on another issue, is sort of has been a great test case for movie producers like Disney to see, how well people would respond to watching films and content at home versus, the cinema versus Foxtel, Sky, and the whole bit. So, it's been a great test case, almost like, agile sort of test and learn for these bigger movie producers to see, how their content, how people respond and consume movies than ever before. So, in a way, it's really helped people understand the entertainment industry and really think about micro segmentation than ever before.
I think in the previous podcast we talked about the current blandness and sameness and stuff like that. If people talk about the golden age of Hollywood, which was more, a bit more artistic, movies were original, they were based on the director's vision. Then from the 80s, 90s onwards, it's really moved into the focus group. You produce something and you tailor the ending to what people want. And it does become blander. And, it's like that rule of politics. The middle person is what decides the election, so people tend towards the middle. But in entertainment, I'm not sure if that's the right way, because when it tends towards the middle and the sameness and everything's the same, and you've seen this before, you lose interest. And once you lose interest, then you stop going to the movies, your willingness to pay and differentiate decreases. And then basically convenience seems to be the only value driver that you have. And that's what Netflix focuses on: convenience, lack of barriers. When we talk about barriers to entry, you want to watch a movie tonight, there is no barrier to entry. You sit in your sofa, you click a button, and infinite movies will come up. So I personally think in 5 to 10 years, Netflix will not exist in its current format. I think it will be something along the lines of a Yahoo or an AOL, a business that's still big, still a lot of money, capital, but will be decreasing from its current height.
Yeah, I think so too. Look, it pivoted before from its older business model when it was, yeah, basically a mail, DVD, mail in the post business. And then it transitioned to this more platform business and has done very well. And I'm sure, that they're thinking about it now, building their ecosystems, which indicates that they're probably thinking about business model adaptation and reinventing, innovating something in the next 5, 10 years. There does seem to be need to do that, and things are moving quickly, but it's shown us some great possibilities in the entertainment industries, as well as some gaps in the market as well.
Yeah, it's shown the pardon me, it's shown the way, but it's also created some big, powerful enemies or competitors. When you look at a company like Amazon, who literally has infinite money, from funding and also now profitable, and who are also entering Amazon Prime, really in a direct competitive system with Netflix. The real differentiator Netflix has is likely to decrease. I could also imagine you'll see national champions designed around promoting national products will start coming on board. So yeah, I think sometimes in a market when you do show the way, all you're going to do is breed competitors. So you have to make the money in the short term. It was a very brief penetration strategy. It will probably still grow as the get towards complete market dominance in many geographies. But my guess is it's going to be just one of a number of competitors that people will consider in the future.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, thanks for listening.
Bye.